Donald Trump, good, bad, or indifferent? Hi there, this is Jim McCutter again in Christian Nations Today. This week is the Republican National Convention, and right now, while I'm speaking to you, Donald Trump is being nominated to be the Republican Party's candidate for President of the United States. But my question to you, dear Christian, this is the question. Do you like Trump? Do you think he is good, bad, or are you indifferent? Now, put that question on hold for just a moment, and let me ask you an entirely different question. Imagine with me for just a second if you were a member of the United States Senate yourself. I know that may be hard for you to imagine, but just with me, bear with me for just a moment and think about that. If you had civil authority invested in you to vote for various laws or even a justice of the Supreme Court, now wouldn't you be a disgrace to yourself and others, even to God, if you did not do your civil responsibility as a senator to vote for whoever you thought was best, regardless of how far short they may fall from being what you would like, but at least to vote for whoever you felt was best? In fact, you would not even be a good senator if you did not also try to influence every other senator you could to vote for whoever was best. That would be your least civil responsibility. But now look at the verse from Romans 13:1, and that's the verse for today. Every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God. Now, do you think United States senators are civil authorities established by God? So what would you think if any senator who did not try to influence his fellow senators to vote for the best person they could vote for, or even worse, if that senator did not do his civil or her civil duty and responsibility and did not vote at all because he didn't like his options or her options, despite one would be the next Supreme Court justice? Or for any other reason, he or she decided just not to vote, but rather they decided to just neglect their civil duty and responsibility and go home and take it easy. They just decide to watch all the Senate proceedings on TV and sit back and complain about how bad all the senators and the possible appointees were. Regardless of how bad some of the appointees might be or how bad all the other senators might be, God established that senator to be the civil authority and to do the best they could in whatever situation they find themselves. Now, if you think it would be wrong or even sin for any senator to neglect or be indifferent to their civil duty or responsibilities, do you realize in the United States, God has established you as an individual citizen as the highest civil authority in our nation? Did you realize that? Why? Because you have the civil authority to determine who will be the senator or even the president. If you don't like who will become our next president, that is your fault. And if you say, I don't like the possible choices of candidates, that too is your fault. In the United States, God has established you as the highest civil authority in the land to determine the civil candidates and then to determine which of the best of those candidates will be your civil representative for you. You have the full civil authority to help determine the civil rulers of the United States and have even more civil authority than the U.S. senators, because you are the one that appointed them, each one of them, by your vote and influence of others. You say, but I only have one vote. Well, a senator has only one vote. Is that any reason for them to neglect their civil duty and not vote for the best and influence the best they can? Edmund Burke, the renowned Christian reformer of England, said, quote, "Nobody made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could do only a little." Dear United States Christians, do you not realize that there are millions of Christians in other countries that could not believe that we don't all mobilize as Christians to go out and take back our nation for the kingdom of God? And yet half the Christians in the United States are not even registered to vote, and the other half don't vote. If even half of all the Christians, the evangelical Christians, voted for God-fearing men this would become a godly nation overnight. God forgive us if we haven't realized that God has invested in us on the basis of Romans 13:1, the highest civil authority in our nation. That's you and me, believers. The prophet said we will die for lack of knowledge, when God could have and would have otherwise blessed our land and our families. But we've neglected our responsibility, whether knowingly or not, and we will suffer the consequences. A day will come when it'll be too late if we don't act. I pray we Christians will see God's mandate to us as Christians in Romans 13:1 as the highest civil authorities in our nation, and therefore the most responsible for where the state of our nation is today. See you tomorrow.